The silent defiance. The council chamber on Station Zenith Prime hung in the void like a jewel of civilization. For 500 years it had served as the heart of galactic governance. Today the chamber filled with tension thick enough to cut with a blade. Ambassador Krell of the Valorian Empire stood at the central podium. His crystalline body shifted through colors that revealed his emotional state. Right now, deep crimson pulsed through his form. Anger. Pure, undiluted anger. 63 times, Krell's voice resonated through the chamber. Every species present heard him in their own language through neural translators. 63 official summons sent to the human government. 63 times they have given us nothing. Not even the courtesy of a refusal. Around the circular table, representatives from 23 different civilizations sat in their designated sections. Each species had evolved under different suns, breathed different atmospheres, and thought in different patterns. But today they shared one common feeling: frustration with humanity. Councillor Thane rose from his seat. The Korthan warrior stood 3 meters tall, his scaled hide bearing the scars of countless battles. His species had dominated their home system for 10,000 years before achieving faster-than-light travel. They understood power and respected strength. They did not understand being ignored. The humans expand like a virus, Thane growled. 4 years ago they controlled 7 star systems. Today they claim sovereignty over 41 systems. They build stations in neutral zones. They establish colonies on worlds we have documented. They mine asteroids in territories that belong to established trade routes. And when we demand explanation, they say nothing. A ripple of agreement moved through the chamber. Various species made gestures or sounds that indicated support for Thane's words. High Scholar Mora of the Ascendant Collective touched the controls at her station. Holographic displays materialized above the council table. Star maps showed human territory marked in aggressive red. The expansion was undeniable. In just 4 years, humanity had claimed more space than most species acquired in a century. Look at their growth pattern, Mora said. Her voice carried the melodic quality of her people. A species that communicated as much through song as through words. They do not expand randomly. They choose systems with specific characteristics. High metal content. Dense asteroid fields. Gas giants suitable for fuel harvesting. They take what they need with precision and purpose. They take what they want without asking permission, interrupted Delegate Voss. The Krillian's multiple eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of agitation. That is the definition of theft. Ambassador Krell raised one crystalline hand for silence. I have documented every attempt at contact. We have used every communication method known to galactic civilization. Quantum entanglement relays, hyperspace burst transmissions, even primitive electromagnetic signals. We have sent messages to Earth itself. We have contacted their colony worlds. We have intercepted their cargo ships and delivered summons directly to their captains. And their response? Asked Councillor Thane, though everyone knew the answer. Silence, Krell said. Complete and absolute silence. They accept the messages. They confirm receipt. Then they continue as if we do not exist. A younger delegate from the Mirian Concordat raised her hand. Scholar Lena was known for her analytical mind and careful consideration. Has anyone considered that perhaps they cannot respond? What if something prevents communication? A cultural barrier we do not understand? A technological incompatibility? Several delegates made dismissive sounds. Krell's crystalline body flashed orange with impatience. Scholar Lena, we have confirmed that every message reaches human leadership. Their own communication networks show receipt and distribution to their government centers. They choose not to respond. There is no mystery here, only arrogance. But it makes no logical sense, Lena pressed. Even hostile species respond to formal summons, even if only to declare war or issue threats. Complete silence is unprecedented in galactic history. Does this not concern anyone? Councillor Thane's laugh rumbled like an avalanche. It concerns me greatly. It concerns me that a species barely 2 centuries into space travel thinks they can ignore civilizations that have sailed the stars for millennia. They must learn their place. High Scholar Mora studied the data on her displays. I have analyzed their behavior patterns. The humans are not just expanding. They are building something. Their industrial output has increased by 3,000% in 4 years. They are mining resources at rates that suggest massive construction projects. Construction of what? Asked Delegate Voss. Unknown, Mora admitted. Their inner systems are closed to external observation. They have established sensor nets that detect and track any ship that approaches. They do not permit visitors. They do not engage in trade. They are isolating themselves while simultaneously expanding outward. Ambassador Krell struck the podium with one crystal in hand. The sharp sound commanded attention. Enough speculation. We must act. I propose we issue a final ultimatum. The humans have 30 standard days to send representatives to this council. If they refuse again, we will consider it an act of aggression against galactic order. And if they ignore this ultimatum as they have ignored all others? Scholar Lena asked quietly. Then we respond with force, Counselor Thane said. His voice carried absolute certainty. We gather the combined fleets of the council. We blockade their systems. We seize their illegal colonies. We show them that galactic law means something. The vote was called. Of the 23 species represented, 20 voted in favor of the ultimatum. Only the Mirian Concordat and 2 minor species voted against. Scholar Lena looked troubled as the results displayed across the chamber screens. The motion passes. Ambassador Krell announced. We will send the 64th summons. This one will be different. This one will include consequences they cannot ignore. The message was crafted with care and precision. It listed every violation humanity had allegedly committed. Unauthorized expansion into neutral territories. Illegal resource extraction. Military buildup without council oversight. Refusal to participate in galactic governance. The consequences were stated clearly and without ambiguity. Appear before the council within 30 days or face blockade, sanctions, and military intervention. The transmission was sent through every possible channel. It would reach Earth in 18 hours. It would reach every human colony within 3 days. There could be no claim of non-receipt this time. On Earth, in a secure facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Director James Morrison sat in a command center that did not officially exist. Banks of monitors showed data streaming in from hundreds of sources. Military satellites, deep space observation posts, quantum communication arrays, and feeds from something else, something humanity had been watching for 4 years. A soft alert chimed. Morrison glanced at the communication station where Lieutenant Sarah Park monitored incoming transmissions. Sir, we have received another summons from the Galactic Council. This one includes threats of military action. Morrison did not look surprised. Number 64? Yes, sir. Add it to the archive. Morrison turned back to his primary displays. They showed something the Galactic Council knew nothing about. Something that made their petty territorial disputes seem insignificant. At the edge of known space, beyond the boundaries of Council authority, humanity's long-range probes had detected something 4 years ago. At first, the scientists thought it was a natural phenomenon, a dark matter anomaly perhaps, or an unusual stellar formation. But as more data arrived, the truth became clear and terrifying. Something was coming toward the galaxy, something immense, something hungry. The scientists called them the Devourers. The name fit. The probes had captured images of what they left behind, star systems stripped of all matter, planets reduced to scattered atoms, even the stars themselves drained of fusion material and left as cold, dead husks. The Devourers moved through space like a swarm of locusts, consuming everything in their path. And their path led directly toward the galactic core. Every inhabited world, every civilization, everything would be in their way. Morrison had presented the evidence to the Galactic Council 3 years and 11 months ago. He had sent detailed reports, scientific data, visual proof, everything humanity had gathered. The Council's response had been dismissive. They called it human paranoia. They suggested humanity was manufacturing a threat to justify their expansion. They said young species often saw dangers that did not exist, so humanity stopped trying to convince them. Instead, every resource, every ounce of industrial capacity, every brilliant mind had been redirected to a single purpose: survival. Director Morrison called Admiral Chen from another screen. She commanded the orbital shipyards above Earth. Behind her, through the observation windows, massive shapes moved through space, ships unlike anything in galactic history. The Titan-class dreadnoughts are 40% complete. The Hammer-class carriers are 60% done, but we need more time. How much time? Morrison asked, though he already knew the answer would not be good. 8 months minimum, maybe 12 to achieve full combat readiness. Morrison looked at another display. It showed the Devourer's projected path and speed. The calculations were clear and merciless. We have 6 months before they reach the outer territories. Maybe 7 if we are lucky. Admiral Chen's expression remained calm, but Morrison could see the tension in her shoulders. Then we work faster. The Council has issued an ultimatum, Morrison said. 30 days to appear before them or face military action. Do they still not believe the threat is real? They think we are lying to avoid diplomatic responsibility. Admiral Chen shook her head slowly. When the Devourers arrive, they will understand. But by then it may be too late. Which is why we keep building, Morrison said firmly. Let the Council bring their fleets. Let them make their demands. Every day they waste on political theater is another day we use to prepare for the real war. The 30 days passed like grains of sand through an hourglass. On Earth, in the orbital shipyards on Mars and the moons of Jupiter, humanity worked without pause. Factories ran at maximum capacity. Engineers pushed the boundaries of known physics. Soldiers trained in tactics developed specifically for the enemy that was coming. And when the 30th day arrived, humanity's response to the Galactic Council was the same as always. Silence. In the council chamber on Zenith Prime, Ambassador Krell's crystalline body burned with dark red fury. They mock us. They spit on galactic law. This cannot stand. The vote to activate the Council's military forces was unanimous this time. Even Scholar Lena and the Mirian Concordat agreed. Silence could no longer be tolerated. Across 23 different star systems, warships received their orders. The greatest military mobilization in galactic history began. Species that normally competed now united under a single command. Over 5,000 warships gathered at designated assembly points. The target was chosen carefully. New Horizon, one of humanity's newer colonies. It sat at the edge of human territory, far enough from Earth that the humans would not feel immediately threatened, but valuable enough that its capture would send a clear message. Fleet Commander Zack stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. The Valorian warrior had commanded fleets for 60 years. He had fought pirates, suppressed rebellions, and enforced council law across a dozen sectors. He had never lost a campaign. Status report, Zax commanded. His tactical officer, a young Valorian named Kess, worked efficiently at her station. All fleet groups have reached New Horizon system, Commander. Total force composition: 5,200 warships, 1,500 heavy cruisers, 2,000 destroyers, 1,000 frigates, 700 support vessels. Zack studied the tactical display with satisfaction. And the human defenses? Long-range sensors detect minimal military presence, Commander. 22 ships total. Most appear to be patrol craft and system defense boats. Nothing larger than 400 meters. 22 ships? Zax felt almost disappointed. Do they have no defense fleet at all? Kess checked her displays again. Sensors show the colony itself is fully populated. 3 million human inhabitants. But their military presence is almost non-existent. Counselor Thane appeared on the communication screen. The massive Korthan looked eager for battle. They abandoned their colony to our mercy. Cowards. Other fleet commanders appeared on surrounding screens. All 23 council species had sent their finest ships and most experienced officers. This was meant to be a demonstration of unity and overwhelming force. Send the final demand, Zax ordered. The message was brief and absolute. Surrender the colony. Accept council authority. Submit to galactic law. The humans had 1 hour to comply. 59 minutes passed in tense silence. Officers across the fleet watched their sensors. Some expected immediate surrender. Others hoped for resistance, wanting to teach the arrogant humans a lesson they would never forget. At exactly 1 hour, the human response arrived. Not a message, not a plea, not a defiant declaration. Just 3 words transmitted across every frequency. Contact in 30 seconds. What does that mean? Kess asked, confused. But Zax felt something cold settle in his stomach. An instinct honed by 60 years of combat. Something was wrong. All ships to combat readiness, Zax commanded. Raise shields. Charge weapons. Commander, sensors are detecting spatial anomalies at the system's edge. Multiple distortions. Very large quantum signatures. Jump gates? Zax asked. Negative, sir. These readings do not match any known FTL technology. They are something else. Something we have never seen before. On the main display, space itself began to tear. Not the clean transition of a jump gate. Not the flash of a hyperspace window. This was different. Space folded, twisted, and opened like wounds in reality. Through those wounds, ships began to emerge, human ships. But they were nothing like the small patrol craft humanity had shown before. These were vessels built for war. Their hulls were dark, absorbing sensor beams rather than reflecting them. They bristled with weapons, railguns, missile pods, energy cannons, point defense systems. Every surface seemed designed to kill. Size estimate, Zax demanded, his voice tight. Kess's hands trembled slightly as she read the data. Commander, the lead ship is 4 kilometers long. It is twice the size of our largest dreadnought. Impossible. The sensors do not lie, sir. Multiple capital ships between 3 and 4 kilometers. Medium cruisers between 1 and 2 kilometers. Their smallest vessels are 600 meters. Commander, more ships are still emerging. The quantum wounds in space continued to birth warships. They arrived in perfect formation, each taking its designated position with military precision that spoke of extensive training and discipline. Total count? Zax asked quietly. Still emerging, Commander. Current count, 800 vessels. 900. 1,000. The human fleet kept coming, kept growing, kept filling the space around New Horizon with dark, deadly ships that should not exist. Final count, Kess whispered. 1,200 warships, Commander. They match our heavy cruiser numbers exactly. The Council fleet outnumbered the humans in total ships, 5,000 against 1,200. But looking at those massive human vessels, at the weapon systems that covered their hulls, at the disciplined formation that suggested extensive combat planning, Zax no longer felt certain of victory. The largest human ship moved forward slightly. It was pure black with silver markings along its hull. The name translated through Zax's systems, UESS Indomitable. A communication request came from that ship. Zax accepted it. A human female appeared on the screen. She wore a dark uniform with rank insignia that marked her as a fleet admiral. Her hair was gray, her face lined with age and experience, but her eyes were sharp, calculating, and absolutely calm. I am Admiral Victoria Chen of the United Earth Space Service, she said. Her voice was steady and professional. You have entered human territory with military forces. You have threatened our civilians. You have demanded our surrender. This constitutes an act of war. She paused, and her expression hardened slightly. However, humanity does not wish for war with the Galactic Council. Despite your ignorance, despite your threats, despite everything, we still want to help you. So I will give you one chance. Withdraw your forces immediately, return to Council space, and prepare for what is actually coming. Councillor Thane's face filled a side screen. You dare make demands? You are outnumbered 4-1. Your fleet cannot stand against Council might. Admiral Chen's expression did not change. Councillor Thane, we have received 63 summons from your council. 63 times we responded with detailed reports about the threat approaching from beyond known space. 63 times you dismissed our warnings as lies. There is no threat, Thane growled. Only human deception. Then explain this, Admiral Chen said. New data flooded into the Council fleet systems. Images, scientific readings, astronomical data. All of it showing the same thing. Something vast and terrible moving through space toward the galaxy. Something that consumed worlds and left nothing behind. Zax stared at the data streaming across his displays. His combat instincts screamed that this was real. This was true. This was why humanity had gone silent. This is fabricated, Councillor Thane insisted, but his voice carried less certainty now. We stopped trying to convince you 3 years ago, Admiral Chen said. Instead, we focused on preparation. Every resource, every factory, every shipyard, everything we have went into building a fleet that could fight what is coming. And now they arrive early. Early? Zax asked. What do you mean? Admiral Chen's calm expression cracked slightly. For the first time, Zax saw fear in her eyes. Real, honest fear. They were supposed to reach our space in 6 months, she said quietly. But our deep space probes just detected them at the edge of this system. Commander Zax, the Devourers are already here. The answer in steel, every sensor in the Council fleet screamed warning simultaneously. The sound created a symphony of alarm that filled bridge after bridge across 5,000 warships. Commander Zax stared at his tactical display as impossible readings flooded the screen. At the far edge of the New Horizon system, space itself seemed to be dying. Stars flickered and dimmed. The background radiation that filled all of space was being drained away. And through that growing darkness, shapes emerged. They were not ships in any conventional sense. They were organic, massive biomechanical constructs that looked like they had been grown rather than built. Each one was easily 10 kilometers long, with surfaces that writhed and pulsed like living tissue. Hundreds of them poured through the edge of the system like a swarm of insects. "What are those things?" Kess whispered, her voice breaking with fear. Admiral Chen's face remained on the communication screen. "Those are devourers. We have been tracking their approach for 4 years. We tried to warn you. We tried to show you the evidence, but you were too busy demanding we attend your meetings." Counselor Thane's image flickered with interference as the strange energy signatures from the devourers disrupted communication systems. "This cannot be real. This must be some human trick." "Does that look like a trick?" Admiral Chen asked sharply. "Those things have consumed 47 star systems that we know of. Every planet, every asteroid, every particle of matter gets absorbed into their collective mass. They do not negotiate. They do not communicate. They only consume." Zax watched as the devourers spread through the system like a plague. They moved with disturbing coordination, suggesting a hive intelligence directing their actions. "How many are there?" "Our probes counted at least 3,000 before we lost contact," Admiral Chen said. "But they keep coming. We estimate between 5,000 and 10,000 total." The numbers hit Zax like a physical blow. Even combined, the human and council fleets numbered only 6,400 ships. And the Devourers outnumbered them potentially 2 to 1. Worse, those bioships were massive, each one larger than anything either fleet possessed. "All council ships, this is Fleet Commander Zax." He forced his voice to remain steady. "Prepare for combat operations. Move to defensive formation around New Horizon. All civilians on the planet are to begin immediate evacuation procedures." But even as he gave the orders, Zax saw his fleet commanders hesitating. Fear paralyzed them. They had come here expecting to discipline an upstart species. Instead, they faced something from a nightmare. "Council fleet, you need to move now." Admiral Chen's voice cut through the chaos. "Those things will be in weapons range in 40 minutes. If you want to survive this, you need to follow my commands." "Follow your commands?" Counselor Thane's voice was incredulous even through his obvious fear. "You expect the Council to take orders from humans?" "I expect you to take orders from the only species that has been preparing for this fight," Admiral Chen replied coldly. "We have studied these things. We know their tactics. We have developed weapons specifically designed to fight them. You can accept human leadership or you can die. Choose quickly." Zax looked at the tactical display again. The Devourers were accelerating toward the inner system. Toward New Horizon. Toward 3 million human civilians and 5,000 Council warships that had no idea what they were facing. He had been a warrior for 60 years. He knew when he was outmatched. He knew when pride became suicide. "This is Fleet Commander Zax to all Council vessels," he said, making the hardest decision of his career. "We will coordinate with the human fleet. All ships are to follow tactical commands from the USS Indomitable." Protests erupted across the communication channels. Multiple fleet commanders objected. Counselor Thane's face turned dark with rage. But Ambassador Krell's voice cut through the chaos. "Zax is right," the Valorian diplomat said from Zenith Prime. "Our pride means nothing if we are all dead. Follow the human admiral's commands. That is an order from the Galactic Council itself." The protest faded to silence. Thousands of alien officers swallowed their pride and waited for instructions from the species they had come to conquer. Admiral Chen wasted no time. "Council fleet, divide into 4 battle groups. Zax, you take command of Group 1, all heavy cruisers. Form a defensive sphere around New Horizon. Group 2, all destroyers under Commander Thane, establish a screening line between the planet and the enemy. Group 3, frigates under Mirian command. Provide support fire and point defense. Group 4, all support vessels evacuate civilians now." The orders were clear and tactical. Despite their fear, Council officers recognized good military planning when they heard it. Ships began moving into formation with increasing confidence. Someone knew what they were doing. Someone had a plan. "Human fleet will anchor the defense," Admiral Chen continued. "Our heavy ships will engage their largest bioforms. Our carriers will deploy fighter wings to handle their smaller units. All vessels, link your targeting systems to ours. We will coordinate fire to maximize damage." Kess worked frantically at her station. "Commander, the Human Tactical Network is requesting data link access. Should I allow it?" Zax did not hesitate. Grant full access. If we are going to fight together, we fight as one fleet. Data began flowing between human and council systems. The integration was surprisingly smooth. Humanity had clearly studied council technology and built compatibility into their systems. Zax realized this preparation had taken years. Everything humanity had done, every resource they had gathered, every system they had claimed, it had all been for this moment. Enemy contact in 30 minutes, reported Kess. They are dividing into attack swarms. Count now exceeds 6,000 bioships. 6,000. The number made Zax's blood run cold. But Admiral Chen's voice remained calm across the fleet channel. All ships listen carefully. Devourers use organic armor that regenerates damage. Conventional weapons have limited effect. Concentrate fire on their central mass where their core intelligence resides. Sustained bombardment will eventually overwhelm their healing capability. What about their weapons? Asked a Korthan commander. They use bioplasma projectors and swarm missiles that are also partially organic. Your shields will provide some protection, but not much. Point defense is critical. Stay in formation and cover each other. If a ship loses shields, others move to protect it. We all survive or we all die. There is no middle ground here. The Devourers crossed into the outer system. This close, Zax could see details on the tactical display that made his skin crawl. The bioships had no obvious engines, no visible weapons ports. They moved by warping space around themselves. Their surfaces opened and closed like mouths, revealing weapon systems that looked disturbingly organic. All ships weapons free, Admiral Chen commanded. Engage at maximum range. Show them that this galaxy fights back. The UESS Indomitable fired first. Massive railguns along its spine launched projectiles at a fraction of light speed. The rounds were not simple metal slugs. They were plasma-tipped penetrators designed specifically for organic targets. When they struck the lead Devourer, they punched through its outer surface and detonated deep inside its mass. The bioship shuddered and screamed. The sound came through the vacuum of space somehow, a psychic cry that made every living being in both fleets feel physical pain. But the Devourer did not die. Its surface writhed and began closing the wounds. Sustained fire, Admiral Chen ordered. Hit them again and again. Do not let them regenerate. The entire human fleet opened fire. Railguns, missile pods, energy cannons, particle beams. 1,200 warships unleashed hell on the approaching swarm. The volume of fire was staggering. Space itself seemed to burn with the fury of humanity's response. The Council fleet joined the barrage seconds later. 5,000 warships added their weapons to the storm. Energy beams of every color imaginable. Kinetic missiles. Plasma torpedoes. Everything the Galactic Council had developed over thousands of years of warfare. The first wave of Devourers died. Their regeneration could not keep pace with the overwhelming damage. One by one, they broke apart, their organic components dispersing into space like ash. For a brief moment, hope sparked through the combined fleet. They could win this. They could actually win. Then the second wave hit them. The Devourers had learned. They did not approach in a mass formation. Instead, they scattered, making themselves harder to target with concentrated fire. And they began shooting back. Bioplasma bolts screamed across space. When they hit shields, they did not just drain energy. They ate through the protective barriers like acid, dissolving the electromagnetic fields that protected the ships beneath. The Korthan destroyer Relentless was the first to die. Its shields collapsed under focused fire from 3 Devourers. The bioplasma struck its hull directly, and the metal began to dissolve. The ship broke apart in seconds, its crew dying before they could even evacuate. All ships evasive maneuvers, Zax commanded. Do not let them focus fire on single targets, but the Devourers were fast. Impossibly fast. They moved like living things because they were living things. They dodged and weaved through the defensive fire with organic grace that no normal ship could match. Admiral Chen's voice cut through the chaos. Human fleet, execute Delta formation. Deploy all fighter wings now. The human capital ships suddenly changed their configuration. Sections of their hulls opened, revealing massive internal hangar bays. From those bays, thousands of small craft emerged. Human fighters, each one barely 50 meters long, swarmed out like angry hornets. Zax watched in amazement as the fighters moved. They were fast, more maneuverable than anything he had ever seen, and they carried weapons specifically designed for this enemy. Each fighter launched missiles that split into dozens of smaller warheads. The submunitions scattered across their targets, finding weak points and exploiting them. Council fleet, focus fire on targets marked by human fighters, Admiral Chen ordered. They will identify vulnerable points. We hit them with everything we have. The tactic worked. Human fighters harassed the Devourers, forcing them to expose their cores. Council warships pounded those weak points with concentrated fire. More bioships died, their remains spreading through space. But there were so many of them. For every Devourer that fell, 2 more pushed forward. They learned with each engagement, adapting their tactics in real time. The swarm intelligence directed them with terrifying efficiency. A Mirian frigate exploded as bioplasma overwhelmed its defenses. A Valorian cruiser listed badly, its engines dead, as smaller Devourer units attached themselves to its hull and began consuming it from the outside in. We cannot sustain this, Counselor Thane admitted over the command channel. His voice carried the weight of defeat. There are too many of them. We hold the line, Admiral Chen said firmly. Every minute we fight is another minute for civilians to evacuate. Every Devourer we kill is one less that reaches the planet. We hold. Zax looked at his tactical display. The battle had become chaos. Ships from both fleets fought desperately against an enemy that seemed endless. The Devourers kept coming, kept pushing, kept dying and being replaced by more. But something was changing. Zax noticed it in the data streams. The Devourers were taking longer to regenerate damage. Their movements were becoming slightly less coordinated. The human weapons were having a cumulative effect. Admiral Chen, Zax called. I am seeing degradation in their performance. Are you seeing this? Confirmed, Admiral Chen replied. Our weapons contain nanodisruptors. They interfere with the Devourer's cellular structure at the molecular level. The effect builds up over time. The more we hit them, the weaker they become. Hope flickered again. If they could just hold out long enough, if they could survive the initial assault, they might actually turn the tide. The UESS Indomitable pushed forward into the thickest part of the fighting. Its massive bulk absorbed damage that would have destroyed smaller ships. Its weapons carved paths through the Devourer swarm, and around it, human carriers deployed wave after wave of fighters that struck like surgical knives. Inspired by human courage, Council ships pushed forward as well. Zax ordered his battle group to form up on the Indomitable's flanks. Thane's destroyers screened them from smaller threats. The Mirian frigates provided devastating support fire. 2 fleets that had come to fight each other now fought as one. Species that had barely tolerated each other for centuries now covered each other's weaknesses and supported each other's strengths. The tide began to turn. Slowly, painfully, at terrible cost, the combined fleet pushed back the Devourer swarm. The bioships began to retreat, falling back toward the system's edge. Do not let them escape, Admiral Chen commanded. They will return with more numbers if we give them time to regroup. Push them hard. Drive them out of this system. The fleet advanced. They pursued the Devourers across millions of kilometers, destroying every bioship they could catch. The battle raged for 6 more hours. 6 hours of constant fighting. 6 hours of ships dying on both sides. 6 hours that would be remembered as the day the galaxy learned to fight back. When the last Devourer finally retreated into deep space, damaged and fleeing, the combined fleet held position. They had won barely at terrible cost, but they had won. Zax looked at his casualty reports. The Council had lost 470 ships, over 100,000 lives. The human fleet had lost 90 ships and 30,000 crew. New Horizon had been saved, its 3 million civilians evacuated to safety. Admiral Chen appeared on the fleet-wide channel. Her face showed exhaustion and grief, but also determination. All ships, this is Admiral Chen, well done. You fought bravely today. You saved millions of lives. But I need you to understand something. This was just a scout force. Silence fell across the communication channels. The main Devourer swarm is still coming. Admiral Chen continued. What we fought today was less than 10% of their total numbers. The real invasion begins in 4 months, maybe 5 if we are lucky. The weight of those words crushed the hope that had been building. They had barely survived this encounter. How could they face something 10 times worse? Ambassador Krell's image appeared on Zax's screen. The Valorian diplomat's crystalline body had lost all color, appearing almost transparent. Admiral Chen, the Galactic Council owes humanity an apology. We should have listened. We should have believed. We wasted precious time on pride and politics while you prepared for the real threat. Apologies do not matter now. Admiral Chen said. What matters is what we do next. Commander Zax, Counselor Thane, all Council Fleet commanders, I am requesting that you return to your governments. Tell them what happened here. Tell them what is coming. Humanity needs help. We cannot build enough ships alone. We cannot fight this alone. The galaxy must unite or the galaxy will die. Zax straightened in his command chair. Admiral, you have my word. I will personally ensure the Valorian Empire understands the threat. We will commit every resource to this fight. Other commanders echoed his pledge. Species that had fought over territory and trade routes now understood they faced extinction. Politics and pride no longer mattered. There is something else, Admiral Chen said. Humanity has developed new technologies in our preparation. Weapons, shields, propulsion systems. We are willing to share everything with the Council. No restrictions. No trade agreements. No political conditions. We give you everything we have learned because we need every ship, every weapon, every fighting soul to have the best possible chance of survival. Scholar Lena of the Mirian Concordat spoke for the first time since the battle began. Admiral, the Council treated humanity with contempt. We ignored your warnings. We threatened your people. We came here to conquer you. Why would you share your technology with us? Admiral Chen's expression softened slightly. Because, Scholar Lena, when the Devourers arrive in force, they will not care about our past disagreements. They will not care about Council politics or human pride. They will only care about consuming everything living. We are all in this together now. Every species, every world, every living thing in this galaxy stands together or falls separately. Ambassador Krell stepped forward on his transmission. Then the Galactic Council formally requests that humanity take a leadership role in our defensive preparations. We were wrong to ignore you. We ask that you help us prepare for the war that is coming. Agreed, said Counselor Thane. Humanity has proven their worth in blood today. We will follow Admiral Chen's command. One by one, every species represented in the fleet gave their agreement. The Galactic Council that had ignored humanity for 4 years now looked to them for salvation. Admiral Chen nodded slowly. Then here is what we do. Every shipyard in Council space begins construction immediately using human designs. We establish a unified command structure. We train together. We fight together. And when the Devourers return, we show them that this galaxy belongs to the living. Zax felt something he had not expected to feel today. Pride. Not in his own people alone, but in all the species standing together. Humanity had been right about the threat. They had prepared while others ignored them. And now, instead of gloating or demanding tribute, they offered their hand in alliance. Admiral Chen, Zax said formally, the Council fleet awaits your orders. Then return to your homes, Admiral Chen replied. Spread the word about what happened here. Build ships. Train crews. Prepare your people. We have 4 months to get ready for the real war. In 4 months, the Devourers return in full force. In 4 months, we find out if the galaxy can survive. The Council fleet began departure procedures. Ships that had come here to enforce dominance now limped home to prepare for survival. They carried with them the recordings of the battle, the evidence of the threat, and the knowledge that humanity had been right all along. The UESS Indomitable remained on station with the rest of the human fleet. Admiral Chen stood on her bridge, looking at the stars where the Devourers had retreated. Her tactical officer approached quietly. Admiral, the shipyards are reporting. With Council resources now available, we can accelerate production by 300%. Good, Admiral Chen said. We will need every ship we can build. Do you think we can win, Admiral? Chen was silent for a long moment. I think we have a chance. 4 months ago, humanity stood alone against an impossible threat. Today we stand with the entire galaxy. That has to count for something. Back on Earth, Director Morrison watched the battle recordings in his command center. The fight at New Horizon had been broadcast across every human world. People had watched in real time as their fleet faced the nightmare from beyond. But they had also watched humanity save their former enemies. They had watched the Council fleet learn to trust human leadership. They had watched the beginning of something that might actually survive what was coming. Morrison opened a communication channel to Admiral Chen. You did well, Victoria. You gave them hope. I gave them truth, Admiral Chen replied. Hope is something they will have to find themselves. How are the preparations going? Every orbital platform is running at maximum capacity, Morrison said. We are receiving technical data from 17 Council species. Their manufacturing capabilities combined with our designs will triple our fleet size. Will it be enough? Morrison looked at the projections on his displays. The numbers were brutal and honest. I do not know, but it is more than we had yesterday. Across the galaxy, the word spread. Humanity had been right. The threat was real. The Devourers were coming, and for the first time in galactic history, every species worked toward a single goal: survival. Shipyards burned bright with constant construction. Factories produced weapons without pause. Training centers pushed recruits harder than ever before. The galaxy armed itself for a war unlike anything it had ever faced. And in the darkness beyond known space, the Devourer swarm continued its approach. Millions of bioships moving as one, consuming every star system in their path, growing larger and stronger with each world they absorbed. The clock was ticking. 4 months to prepare, 4 months to build, 4 months to unite completely, 4 months until the real war began. But now at least the galaxy would face it together, united by the species they had tried to punish. Led by the humans they had ignored, the galaxy had summoned humanity with threats and demands. Humanity had answered with firepower and saved them all. Now they would stand together against the dark, or they would fall together into extinction. The choice was no longer theirs to make. The Devourers had already decided. The galaxy would fight and humanity would show them how.